Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Can see MFS is watching England T20 smash the Kiwis as it stands. Good morning to Kevin Hawthorne down in Lakeland, Florida. Gaz saw his Tottenham side lose, and that means he doesn't want to be on this Monday. No. He's actually got a tooth infection, so we'll let him off. But that means I need your help. The phone lines are open. We're going to talk about all of the games from game week 8. Another huge weekend. Ange Postecoglou sacked after 18 minutes. We're discussing that. Arne Slot, is it a crisis now at Liverpool? We're discussing that. Can Burnley stay up? Are Leeds now one of the favourites to go down? Arsenal top. Can they really win the league playing set pieces week in, week out? I've got a theory behind that one as well. So much to get through. Do me a huge favour. Check out the chat. Make sure if you feel like coming on this morning and talking about football, the phone line's open. Hit that there. We'll get you on. I've already got one in and waiting already. Give me one moment. Let's see what's going on. Hang on a second, guys. I've got plenty of people here already in the chat. Right. Who have I got in the green room? Who's in there? I can see someone. It says Chelsea fan, but I don't know who it is. Are you there? Doesn't look like they're there. All right, we'll go back. Are you there?
I am here.
You are here? Who have I got?
Good morning. It's Ryan Taylor calling down the line from Lincolnshire.
Good morning. How are you? What do you like to discuss this morning on the Footy Social Club?
Oh, yes. Giving Ange the sack. Chelsea fans, after their 3-0 win away at Forest, got Ange the sack. Brilliant.
What did you make of Chelsea's first half performance against Forest at the weekend? Because I watched the game and I didn't think overall the first half was that good from a Chelsea perspective. In fact, I thought Forest were a little unlucky not to go in at half-time, probably in the lead.
First half, I think what we needed to do, I think Forest dominated the first half in reality. I think if you look at the way they performed, they were the strong team in the first half, and Enzo needed to perform in the second half with 3 substitutions.
Fair enough. And where do you think Chelsea will finish this year?
Top 5. Top 5, to be honest with you. Top 5 or no.
This could be Baxi on the phone. That's what I reckon this could be. Anyway, Big Ange is gone. That's the most important thing, I think, when it comes to Premier League football. Because, to be honest, he's a myth of a football manager. I thought Pochettino was one, in all honesty. Well, it looks like Ange Postecoglou was another one.
Yeah, I know that. 39. That's how many days he's lasted in a job. 39. I got to be honest with you. He wasn't ready to take over Nottingham Forest. I think the previous manager beforehand had the experience with the team. Unfortunately for Ange, he couldn't top it. That's why he's been sacked.
Absolutely. Right, I've got to move on. I've got others waiting to come on. Thank you very much for the call this Monday morning.
Thank you very much. Speak to you soon. God bless.
Bye. Right, we move on. Phone lines are open. And as I said, there's lots to go through this morning. And we'll stick with Ange and we'll stick with Nottingham Forest because, as I said there, I thought Forest actually started the first half pretty well, in all honesty. And once again, it's kind of been the story for Ange in what's been a very, very short reign in charge, 39 days, only beaten by Sam Allardyce. And if I'm honest, if some of the players had actually stepped up to the plate just a little bit, then I genuinely believe Ange would still be in the job because as much as I've been a critic of his, they have at times created chances. And I know we've got Forest fans that watch this, and I know there's a few of them that can't be on at the moment. But I generally believe that if they'd gone into the lead at half-time against Chelsea, then they win that game. And they created other chances in the second half. It's just that when a team is as good as Chelsea with the options that they have, eventually they're going to come good. Eventually they're going to take their opportunities. So look, from a Forest perspective, it's a bad day at the office. And prior to going to air, it looks as if Sean Dyche is going to take over as Forest manager. Now, Forest don't have much headroom left when it comes to PSR. They're on to their third manager. It's the 8th game of the season. I mean, it's a disaster from a Forest perspective to start a season like this. Are they in a relegation dogfight? Who knows? There's every chance that they are, but it's just a mess. Like, Forest are a complete mess at the moment. Sean Dyche as well, when we think about it. Nuno takes over, 2 years ago, leads them into European qualification. Nuno leaves at the start of the season after one game and plays a style of football that is a low to mid block, but quick on the counter, and it gets them a decent end product. They decide that Ange ball is the way forward, which is a complete contrast to Nuno Espirito Santo. And when you look at it on paper, Forest have the players to actually play that style of football. The likes of Bakwa, Hudson-Odoi, McAtee. They've got good players, Forest. Morgan Gibbs-White, Elliot Anderson. We all know how much, Newcastle fans would like Elliot Anderson back at the club. And I just think that going now to Sean Dyche is actually a step back on Nuno Espirito Santo. It's actually desperate. We know that he wants Silva at Fulham, but they can't afford the 8 million buyout to take him, but they'll get him at the end of the season on a free. But what's the plan for this season? Because the players that they've bought this summer are not going to progress under Sean Dyche in any way, shape or form. They're really not. They're not going to progress. The likes of Bakwa are not going to enjoy the way Sean Dyche plays. The only person that's going to enjoy the way Sean Dyche plays is obviously Chris Wood up top. And they're going to become, set piece FC. It's going to be long ball football. The Forest fans are not going to like this style of football. Do we agree, in all honesty, with the way that Ange has been treated by Nottingham Forest, by Marinakis? Because there has to be questions raised about that. Now, Forest fans will be quick to point out that, was it 9 games that he was in charge or whatever it was? I think he drew 2 and lost 7. The football wasn't good, but the accountability of some of those players needs to be looked at. And Murillo, I don't know if anyone saw it when Forest released the statement, and obviously, as they do now, it goes out on social media almost first before it goes anywhere else. Murillo's liking the post about Ange Postecoglou losing his job. Now, Murillo wasn't frozen out by Ange in the 39 days he was in charge. In fact, he was playing other than when he was injured. I don't like to see that from players. Now, I'm aware that they don't all manage their own social media, but I just don't believe that should happen either. So Sean Dyche has got a lot to do if he is going in there. They were linked to Mancini as well, but I'm just not sure Sean Dyche is the man. There's managers down in the Championship. Michael Carrick, for me, on an interim basis, would have been a better option at Nottingham Forest. I saw fans talking about Steven Gerrard. I strongly disagree with that, considering, what he's done in Saudi Arabia. He didn't do anything particularly good with Aston Villa. Sure, he won the league with Rangers and he's turned that job down. I don't think Steven Gerrard at Nottingham Forest would be the right move, but I certainly think there's others that could have done a better job maybe than what Sean Dyche was doing, and further development. The other thing is Sean Dyche only going to come to the end of the season? If he is a stopgap, then really Marinakis has single-handedly ruined Nottingham Forest's biggest year for the best part of 20 years. This was supposed to be a celebration, of being back in Europe and the like. Progress. Gaz, who's obviously sad after the fact that Villa beat Spurs. But obviously, Gaz said Nottingham Forest were an underdog. They're anything but now. Anything but. They are now, relegation candidates. And that, when they've spent 180 million in the summer, simply can't happen. Do I think Forest can get away from it? Absolutely I do. Absolutely I do. From a Chelsea perspective, remember Enzo Maresca was suspended for this game following his late goal celebration when Chelsea beat Villa before the international break. And to be honest, as I said on that phone call there, I thought Chelsea were poor first half. Really, really poor. But they hung in there. They're still too open at the back. And yes, they've got injuries. But they have got quality going forward. And Neto, I thought, was excellent on the day. Obviously, Reece James scored as well. And once Chelsea got the first, and obviously, straight after halftime, Achipon, whatever his name is, the centre half, scoring a really, really good header, his first goal for the club. And I've been impressed with him since he's been given an opportunity by Maresca to play in the team. They never looked back, and the Forest heads dropped, and then it was easy. Then Neto scores, and Reece James makes it all too easy. Malo Gusto gets himself sent off, and Chelsea have really got to address the red cards that they're getting this season. And that, for me, sits solely with Enzo Maresca at the moment, if I'm honest. He's got to address what he's doing with his team in the build-up to games, in all honesty. Let's go and have a look in the comments. Morning to everyone as well. Let's go right back to the top. I didn't get to all those. So, evening to MFS. Morning to Kevin Hawthorne down in Lakeland, Florida. I'd love to know where you guys are from as well. Make sure you do that. Drop a like on this video if you haven't done so already as well. There's plenty of content come out over the weekend as well. Reaction to the Newcastle game. That's doing really, really well. Reaction to the Arsenal game. I've given a strong opinion, as you'd expect as an Arsenal fan, on that one. And of course, I've broken down the biggest game of the weekend, the fact that Liverpool have now lost 4 in a row in all competitions. Feel free to check all of those out. Make sure you're liking, subscribing if you're sitting in the background watching here, and get your thoughts into the comments as well. Daniel Knight, good morning to you. One of our regulars. Liverpool are in crisis. Also says Gaz, Ange is not a good manager. Stop defending him now. Absolutely. Absolutely. No refunds, says MFS, relating to the Alexander Isak transfer. Look, I'm sure Isak will come good. I want to talk about the media narrative between Victor Gyökeres and Alexander Isak today as well. As I said, the phone lines are open. There's a link pinned at the top of the chat. Get yourselves in. Come support the channel. Come talk to me as well. You can have your opinions at any time. Arsenal need to get Gyökeres in the game more. You cannot win the league with set pieces. I'll talk about that a little while as well. Good morning to Craig, the Newcastle fan. Appreciate the voice notes this morning, mate. I will catch up with those shortly. Just been busy getting myself ready for this Monday. Do you think top 5 will be Champions League spot this year? Absolutely. I think we'll be more than fine for that as well. Gaz says, good morning to you, my man. Ange, Forest, 39 days. Joke, to be honest, but timing from Marinakis to bring him in was awful. Chalk and cheese to Styles with no pre-season is a recipe for disaster. Upsides, how Forest weren't 4-0 up. Look, I agree that Forest played well. I thought Forest showed signs of life in the Newcastle game again before they went down. I thought they showed signs of life in the Chelsea game. But if we're really, really honest, what we saw in the 39 days from Ange Postecoglou is a manager that still lacks a plan B. And when you lack a plan B at this level, then you are never, ever going to last. We will never see Ange Postecoglou back in the Premier League. There isn't a club that is going to touch him for a long time until he goes somewhere else and proves himself. And he will be watched. But my money would be on him turning up at Celtic. Why? Because they don't like spending money. He knows the Asian market brilliantly. He made signings when he was at Celtic with the Asian market. Brendan Rodgers is out of contract at the end of the summer. Don't be surprised if he would be throwing his hat into the ring for Nottingham Forest as well. Knows that area of the country pretty well. So Ange ends up at Celtic for me. They're in disarray at the moment as well. Hearts running away with the league there. We shall see. First half, as continues, the XG for Chelsea was 2.8 to Chelsea's 1.2 versus Chelsea. Yeah, Forest did have a great XG, but no one should read into XG. It doesn't mean anything. Sean Dyche, Craig says, will do better than Nuno at Forest. Remember, I said this. Why is Sean Dyche going to do it? And what is going to excite the Nottingham Forest fans in relation to Sean Dyche being the manager? And I'm going to be making a video about this after today's show. There's absolutely no way that Forest fans are going to enjoy Burnley-esque style long ball football, which is derived from long throws, corners. It sounds like I'm talking about Arsenal. But why are Forest fans going to accept that? I don't think they will, unless they now accept that they're in some form of a relegation dogfight. I mean, I am trying to imagine Sean Dyche against Porto on Thursday, because that's what they're trying to get done. Get him in Monday so they can get him on the training pitch ready for Porto. What's he going to do? Park the bus? It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Good morning to Sam Brown as well. I don't think... What have we got here? What was Sam saying? Just lost my... I saw Mancini linked to United. I would be heartbroken if this happened. Mancini's not going to United. He's not going to Forest either. And I don't think that's a smart move at all. Morning to Steve Cook. Not sure about Lewis Miley, I rate him, but think he's got some growing to do. We're going to talk about some of the players that I believe Newcastle have got some issues with. Joel Linton is one of them. I think you need additional wing-backs. Dan Burn, potentially another. The big one's Elanga. And I know Craig down in the chat doesn't like Elanga. He's not liked Elanga since he walked through the door at Newcastle. He's been very honest with that one. There's now other Newcastle fans calling Elanga out. We'll be talking about that today as well. This show is driven by you, though, guys. Get your opinions in the comments. We'll read them out. We'll come to them as well. The phone lines are open. Come join the show if you want to have your opinion as well. And it's great to see you guys in here. Make sure you're dropping a like on this video as well. If you're sitting in the background, you're not subscribed, you can't get yourselves in the comments until you subscribe. But we are a little different here at the Footy Social Club, and the regulars will tell you the same. You are part of every live show that we do. We will interact with you the whole way through. So make sure you guys are doing that as well. Good morning to Chris as well. Saw your comments over the weekend. Appreciate that. Hopefully Wanyeri, Skelly and Dowman at home to Brighton in the Carabao Cup. That's going to be important. Going to talk about Arsenal rotation, the squad depth, reasons why Arsenal, I think now, can be considered right up there with Manchester City. There's not much between them as favourites right now for the Premier League. Good morning to Graham Smith. Mr. Marinakis should appoint himself as manager, the first owner-manager. Is there a world where Marinakis could say, I'm putting myself in interim charge? It would be hilarious to see Marinakis on the sidelines trying to dictate how Forest should be playing. And then obviously, let's say that, Neco Williams passes it astray and he goes on and picks him up by his neck and throws him to the floor and shouts at him or something. Marinakis can do what he wants. It's his club. But at the moment, the way Forest are, he is slowly destroying it as a club. And that's a shame, considering he's clearly passionate and has invested a lot of money. And one man that shouldn't be let off is the former director of football at Arsenal, Edu. My God, am I glad we got rid of him. And he's a former great, obviously, at the club for Arsenal, part of the Invincibles. But he's made a mess as director of football. He is going to have had a say in players that have been signed. Kalimuendo, Bakwa, to name but a few. Hasn't gone so well, has it really, for Edu as director of football or head of footballing operations? I would love any Forest fans' opinion on that one today as well. What's the judgment on Edu so far? And no, Berta is not available, Marinakis. Daniel says João Pedro offers nothing as a number 9. He's played better as a number 10. Pedro's never been a number 9. Yes, he scored goals, Daniel, for Brighton. But Brighton play a very different way, I believe, to the way that Chelsea play. So I think that Pedro's more of a 10, but the problem is you have arguably one of the best 10s in world football in Cole Palmer. But Chelsea for me need 3 players. They need a goalkeeper, a top level goalkeeper, a centre half, and a proper centre forward. And I'd love to see you put in a little cheeky bid for Harry Kane just to see what Bayern Munich do. Because I think the right money, buy and sell, and Chelsea are not a million miles away from being right up there with challenging the likes of Arsenal and Manchester City. Results against Forest prove that Chelsea can do it. The result against Liverpool also backs that up. You dug in and hung in against Forest, but once you started and converted, you were so good, then you controlled the game. That's a difference between this season and last season, I believe, with Chelsea, and why under Maresca they're actually going in the right direction. Craig says people are starting to see what I saw in Liverpool last year. Can't wait to talk about the Liverpool Manchester United. You have, Craig. You've banged on about it. You've harped on about it. Don't rate Liverpool. Agreed. A lot of us sat here and went, they're going to be very, very good. They bought some really strong players. Isak was, the link they needed for the number 9. It isn't working at all at the moment. We're definitely going to discuss that. Sam says, I don't think either Gyökeres or Isak have been great, but Gyökeres has started slightly better. Yes, and there's a narrative. We'll stop at that point, Sam. There's a narrative when it comes to Gyökeres and Isak at the moment. And the narrative is very simple. And give me your opinions on it as well. Let me know if I'm wrong, which is fine. I'm entitled to my opinion as you are yours. The narrative around Alexander Isak, especially when you look at Sky, especially when you listen to the likes of TalkSport and BBC Sport. I was listening to phone-in shows on those the other day. The narrative is this with Isak. He needs time to settle. He hasn't had a pre-season. He's a top draw striker, which he is. He's scored goals for Newcastle. And once he finds his feet at Liverpool, then he's going to go on and score a lot of goals for the club. That's the media narrative that surrounds Alexander Isak. If you take the media narrative with Victor Gyökeres, is he's struggling to adapt. He's struggling to score goals. He's not good enough for the Premier League. He's not a top-level striker. Okay, couple of things with that. It's all negative. He didn't have a pre-season either, or certainly more than Isak, but he didn't have a pre-season. He refused to train, much like Isak did at Newcastle when he was at Sporting. He came in late. He came in, for me, overweight as well. He's also got a different disadvantage to Alexander Isak. Yes, he's played in England before, Coventry, a few games for Brighton as well. But he's not Premier League really in experience. So he's adapting to a new country, settling into a new country, plus adapting to the Premier League. The media narrative doesn't pick this up. In fact, the media narrative just says he's not good enough. And that's probably nowhere near true, in all honesty. Has he done enough in every game? No. But we don't all know what's going on behind the scenes. Is he going to score goals in this Arsenal team? Yes. Have his performances improved in the last few weeks? Yes, definitely. He should have scored at the weekend. He had 2 really good chances. But the work ethic, the fitness, the involvement in the games is growing. And I commend Arteta for sticking with him instead of taking him out. When you could play Martinelli through the middle, for example. So it's interesting how media narrative and perceptive can set what the fans feel is happening with Victor Gyökeres or Alexander Isak. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Wirtz is 0010 at Liverpool now. And again, there's a media narrative there, Daniel. The media narrative in relation to Florian Wirtz is a complete farce, if I'm honest. I thought he was exceptionally good in the second half against Manchester United. He's been heavily involved in what Liverpool have been doing, but Liverpool have been wasteful in the chances that Florian Wirtz is creating for his teammates. The best example being when he came on against Chelsea in the second half and the flick to Mo Salah, who this time last year smashes that in the back of the net and he smashed it wide. There's been others as well, Newcastle as well. So Florian Wirtz is another one that the media is saying he's struggling to adapt. Yes. Has he got an assist? No. Has he scored? No. But it's 10 games in a new country, in a new league that's far more physical, far quicker, in a team that's struggling to adapt as well. I don't think Wirtz has been quite as bad as what people are making out. Liverpool as a team, they've been awful. Love that you guys are getting yourselves in the chat here. Really appreciate it. I'm not sure Isak will come good this season, says Steve. Without Murphy setting him up, he'll struggle. Salah wants goals, no assists. Great point. Great point. Mo Salah's as greedy as they come, but I think Mo Salah's time at Liverpool could now be up. Chris says our League Cup team could be Kepa, Ben White, Mosquera. It's going to be, I'm not going to read them all out. It's going to be a whole mix of players, but that's the squad depth Arsenal have got. Baxy's in, oi oi, Savaloy. Baxy, I think it was potentially you on the call. Who knows? Good morning to Mercury Dime. Hope you're well, my friend. Gaz can't speak. That's why he's not on the phone. But the phone lines are open, guys. It's there for you to come in and chat. We're going to move on in a minute through the games. Welcome back to Malcolm Swiftfoot, who's been on holiday in Portugal, lucky for some. Who finishes higher, Liverpool or Chelsea? I'll let you guys decide that one. We'll have to wait and see. But it's going to be interesting. Mark my words, I think Liverpool are out of the title race. I'll put that there for now. Plenty going on. Right, let's move on. As I said, good result for Chelsea. Ange is gone. Looks like Deitch is going in there. That's a shocker. Brighton 2, Newcastle 1 is next. And I know there's plenty of Newcastle fans. The phone lines are open. Come on and have your say. It wasn't a great performance down on the South Coast yet again. And a lot of people in my video agreed with me, which I was quite shocked about, to be honest. There's a few issues in this Newcastle side, and granted, you've got some key injuries in some key positions for how Eddie Howe wants to play. The two most important injuries is obviously Hall and Livramento in the fullback positions. Trippier now at 34. I don't think you can ask him to play week in, week out. It's similar to Andy Robertson. At Liverpool, the legs are not quite as good as they once used to be. I still think Trippier is a great squad player to have around, but the problem is week in, week out, I don't think Trippier can do it. The other issue is Dan Burn at left back. As great as Dan Burn is as a pro, you want those types of players in your teams. And keep getting the comments in, guys. I'll come back to them as well as the show goes on. You want the likes of Dan Burn in and around the club. He just comes across as such a great guy, a great squad player, and whatever else. But let's be honest, he gives you issues playing in that left back position. Sure, he'll work really hard, but from a creative standpoint, from the ability to get up and down, he just can't do it. You know, he's not built to be a left back. In all honesty, I know he's done it at Brighton in the past and whatever else, but age catches up with you. He's never been the quickest. He's technically not the best. He's great in the air. I love the defensive partnership of, is it Chow, if we call him that, Chow and Sven Botman. I think that could be really good for Newcastle. Nick Pope obviously is excelling this season with Aaron Ramsdale providing competition in that position. But what did Newcastle do? How quick's Lewis Hall going to come back? Obviously, Livramento's out for a while. You know, I've seen people in the chat talk about Emil Kraft coming in at right back, give him a chance to play. Is there any other options? Can maybe Sven Botman go to right back? I'm not so sure if he's fit enough to do that. But it doesn't. There's issues there. Then you go into midfield, and it feels like Newcastle are carrying Joel Linton at the moment. I don't know really what's going on. Is he carrying an injury? Maybe you guys can enlighten me further. But for me, it's like Newcastle are playing with 9 or 10 men at the moment. And I think that's why you're sitting where you're sitting in the Premier League, because it's just not firing on all cylinders at the moment. And sure, Newcastle don't have the deepest of squads. And not having Johan Visser is an issue as well. I believe that he's back in training, not too far away from being able to start. Jacob Ramsey was given 20 minutes as well, and I think it's important Newcastle fans can see, you know, him very soon, week in, week out, because I think he's a technically good player, and I think that could put Joel Linton's place under real threat. And the other one is Elanga. Elanga was brilliant against Barcelona in the Champions League. And many Newcastle fans say he's only got pace, he's got nothing else. I said when Newcastle signed Elanga that I felt that Jacob Murphy was really unlucky to be left out of this team, considering, 13 or 14 assists and 6 or 7 goals for Newcastle last season. And at the moment, I think he is better in that position than Elanga. And I wonder, in Elanga's younger days at Manchester United, he has played in that right back position. And I wonder whether or not you could maybe use Elanga at right back, get Murphy down the right, let them overlap, let them work in together. That could be an option for Newcastle at the moment. And, you've got 3 or 4 big games coming up. You can afford at this stage of the season to drop points because the gap can be closed pretty quickly. Look at now Manchester United. They're 3 points off a second, yet 2-3 weeks ago when they lost to Brentford, they're having the worst season yet again in their life. So teams can react quite quickly, but you don't want to get too far adrift. And if I look at the table now, Newcastle sit 13th, played 8, 9 points, averaging a point, 1 point something points a game. You're 6 points off a 5th spot. And sure, there's teams that I think will fall down that are in somewhat of false positions. Bournemouth, as good as they are, I think in 3rd, they're obviously in a false position. Sunderland, doing great, aren't they? Mind the gap, as the Mackhams are saying at the moment, false position. Palace, false position. But Newcastle have got some work to do. And Eddie Howe's got some work to do with this team at the moment, in my opinion. He's got to find a way to get results on the road. You're really good at home. And look, Brighton is a tough place to go. But it's not good. Not good. Drew down at Bournemouth, lost down at Brighton. And it just seems that outside of St James's Park, Eddie Howe hasn't quite got it right at the moment. But I mentioned you got some key injuries. Love to know your thoughts, Newcastle fans, as well. Mercury Dime says, spot on. Joel Linton wasn't good enough by far. Switching for Miley or Ramsey for a few games. What's the verdict on Lewis Miley? Why, deemed obviously a top young talent, why is he not getting more minutes in a Newcastle shirt? Is it just that he is too young at the moment? Has he got a future at Newcastle United? I just think that as good as that midfield's been, Joel Linton, Tonali, Bruno, it lacks a little. For me, Bruno's great. He's got the craft. Tonali's got the engine. Now you need the ball carrier. Ramsey can do that with the passing as well. And he can get in and around the strikers. Got to talk about 2 strikers as well. Danny Welbeck will come to Brighton in a minute. I want to know, should Danny Welbeck be in the England squad? Don't care about his age. He is the modern day footballing Benjamin Button. He gets better as he gets older. Should he be? Could Danny Welbeck do a job in the England squad from the bench with 15, 20 minutes to go? He is so unorthodox looking as a striker, but he continues to find the net for the Seagulls. And if you're rewarding players based on form, which is what most people think when it comes to footballers, they should be in the squad on merit, then at the moment he deserves his opportunity to be in the England squad, even if it is short term. Let me know your thoughts on that one. Let's talk Nick Voltemada, single-handedly at the moment carrying this Newcastle United team. I thought his goal was excellent at the weekend. He has been a bright star in a slow start to this season for Newcastle United. He has settled in so well, better, I think, than what many Newcastle fans would have expected, I believe, this season. Considering he doesn't believe that he is a number 9, he's doing everything right. But, and there is a but to this, Newcastle are too over-reliant on Nick Voltemada. There's a lot of games coming up in a short space of time between, Carabao Cups and League Cups, and Champions League and Premier League. Does Eddie Howe have to try and manage his game time? Is he physically ready to play week in, week out, 80, 90 minutes Saturday, 80, 90 minutes Wednesday, same again Saturday, Sunday? That's the question. That's the question, I think, at the moment. I just think that Newcastle, they need more home games right now. That would help them. They've got to get players back. And Eddie Howe's got to find a way to win on the road. Speaking of Brighton, I think they're in for a difficult season. They see that win's taken them to 10th. They're on 12 points. It looks more rosy than it did on Friday when we did the pre-match show. They're 2 points off the Champions League spot. But the thing for me watching Brighton is they managed to get themselves up for the so-called bigger games. They beat Manchester City. They beat Newcastle. But they were woeful against Wolves. In fact, the Van Hecker header there got them out of trouble. Let's be honest, it got them out of trouble. And I feel like that they've got a little bit of an identity issue about what type of team Hertzler wants Brighton to be. Because when they played against Newcastle at the weekend, I thought they were brilliant on the transition. I thought they were brilliant in the midfield. I thought they got the ball very quickly, into the final third of the pitch, and they managed to hurt Newcastle. But when they come up against teams that want to play a low block, when they come up against teams that are maybe in and around them, they fail to really break them down. And because of that, and not replacing João Pedro this summer, I know Danny Welbeck's scoring goals at the moment, and that puts him in a good position for Brighton, but they still haven't got another number 9. Danny Welbeck isn't going to play all 38 games and score week in, week out, I don't think. But I think Brighton might struggle. I really do. Who have we got down in here? Let's have a quick look. Someone's come in. Give me 1 second. What's one in the chat? Just give me a second, guys. Now, I think it's MFS because I can see New Zealand written on there. Is it MFS?
MFS, nah.
No,
Kev.
it's not. It's Kev. How are you, mate? Sorry, buddy. It's hard to see who it is on the screen. I've got multiple screens going on. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, good brother. Good brother. I watched 3 games in the weekend.
Who did you watch?
I watched you guys beat Fulham. I watched Palace Bournemouth, and I watched United Liverpool this morning.
Yeah, well, listen, going by your side of the world like me, watching football, well, it doesn't ruin the weekend. In fact, it saves the weekend. Genuinely,
No, it makes the weekend, mate. I'm a night owl, so yeah.
Yeah, mate. Up with me. Right, let's go through the 3 games as you watch them. Let's get some analysis from you. Let's go with Palace. You're a Palace fan, are you not?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's go with Palace Bournemouth, because that was a great spectacle of football. It was a throwback. There was obviously plenty of action, 6 goals. Palace showed some steel. My granddad lived about 10 minutes from Selhurst Park. It was a club I know well. My dad was a Palace fan when he was alive. I thought it was a brilliant spectacle. How did you see it as a Palace fan? Are you disappointed? Are you pleased? What's your initials?
I'm actually, I look at the Premier League winners for the last 10 years, and the only, since Premier League started, the only 2 teams that have won it were Blackburn, that weren't in the top tier, were basically Blackburn and Leicester.
Yeah.
So, and even I'm a Palace fan, I would love to see Bournemouth do something crazy this year.
Where do you think they can finish? I mean, they sit third, in the league at the moment, 15 points. They're sitting above Liverpool as it stands.
Well, Palace ain't no mugs, and Mateta's on fire, and the ref gave us a dodgy penalty at the end.
Absolutely, that was never a penalty.
But we'll take it. But I would love to see Bournemouth. A team from that part of the world just going freaking crazy,
What's incredible with Bournemouth, Kev, in all honesty, is the fact that they've got 11,000, I think it is, at the Vitality or Dean Court, whatever you want to call it. They've got such a small fan base. They've got such a small budget. Are you cracking a beer open? And if so,
bourbon. A bourbon.
You got yourself a bourbon and Coke or something like that?
It's 11:09.
Yeah, there you go. New Zealand time, 11:09. There you go. You're a solid
PM.
Yeah, exactly. The other side of the world. Well, you enjoy that bourbon while we carry on going through this. When I look at what they're doing, and when you put into perspective, from a Bournemouth perspective, that they lost their goalkeeper, obviously Kepa they had on loan. They signed Petrovic from Chelsea. 3 of their back 4 left. There was no panic really, obviously internally.
No.
Iriola obviously, and the directors of football and the board identified new targets. They calmly went about their business. And to be honest, there's no narrative or media discussion around, my God, they're missing Kirkes. It reminds me of Brighton of a few years ago, to be honest, the plug and play.
Sorry, don't say that word.
Yeah, well, obviously a rival for you. But yeah, they are doing something incredibly well at the moment. They are doing something incredibly well.
And like I said, it's like they will, Palace are playing really well at the moment, but they will end up 12th. Like I heard you say before, Palace are we're 8th at the moment and on goal difference, but we will end up 12th again.
Yeah, I think Palace, 12th is yours. Hey, Kev, do me a huge favour. Drop out. There's a bit of interference on the line. Drop back out and come back in again, and I'll bring you back on. It's just a little bit of interference on the line.
Yeah, cool.
We'll bring him back in just a moment's time. But yeah, no, I mean, what Bournemouth are doing at the moment is phenomenally good. It is phenomenally good. I'm so impressed with Iriola and where he, the glass ceiling that is Bournemouth at the moment as well. They could go anywhere, sitting third in the league, 15 points. Like they've won 4, drawn 3, lost 1. It's seriously good. It's seriously good. And I think Manchester City will be watching him at the moment. I really do. I think City will be watching him. I think others will be watching Glasner as well. I think Glasner's been exceptionally good at Crystal Palace as well. There we go. We've got Kev back. We'll just give that another go. 1 second. Just give me a second, Kev. Let's see if that works. That sounds better. Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I've got the headphones on. I'm working through I'm a music producer, so I'm working through good headphones and an audio interface and a good Mac. So
there you go. Now there was just a bit of interference. That's why I got you to drop in and drop out. Normally fixes it. I was just saying while you were offline for a second there. I think that Manchester City will be watching Bournemouth and Iriola in particular. I feel like others will be watching Glasner. How important do you think for both clubs the next 12 months is?
Okay, so I'm 60 at the moment, so I've been a Palace fan for 48 years, and we're a bit, we've got something to put in the trophy cabinet, but if we stay 12th and stay in the Premier League, nobody's going to complain.
No.
And if Glasner keeps us there, but he needs to be, he's got to go where Eze's gone, and Elise and Zaha, and he's got to go somewhere to a top 6 club and win, he's got to win the Premier League.
I think Glasner's got the ability to go right to the very top. He comes across as someone with that takes no nonsense. I think the Gahey deal on transfer deadline day, and he's come out and said that he didn't have much of a say, but I think everyone knows he didn't throw his toys out the pram, but he made it very clear, if you're going to get rid of Gahey, you're making my position as manager very, very difficult. At 2-0 down, did you think it was game over?
Yeah. I was sort of I was up and half watching the game because it was on at 3:00 in the morning, and my son was playing Xbox, and it was sort of do I really want to watch this? And then I checked the score back, and then it was okay, 2-1, and but it was a brilliant game. And then I'm a bit of a mercenary when it comes to football. I actually quite often will check the score and then watch the game later. If you don't really want to watch your team getting bashed.
No,
I don't mind watching Arsenal or Liverpool or Man U or any other team getting bashed. but watching your own team getting bashed is sort of like, I could be watching something better or producing some music.
That's the journey of being a football fan. Kev, give me your league title favourites as it stands.
I'm going for the Arse. Because I just think Cockers will come right. I'm a huge Eze fan. I reckon Trossard, even though he's ex-Brighton's going to come right.
To be honest, he was leaving Arsenal, then signs a new deal, and then finds himself starting week in, week out. I like Leandro Trossard. I'm just kind of surprised how that's evolved with Arsenal this year. Who's your three? Give me your last one. Give me your three to go down.
It's getting really hard because it used to be like the three teams that got promoted were generally the ones that got relegated.
Yeah.
And now we've got at the bottom, West Ham, Wolves, and I don't know who the other one is.
Bottom three is Forest 18th, West Ham and Wolves.
Yeah. So we got, the league's getting harder. Like, who knows who's going to break down? Like Sunderland started well, Burnley started well, whatever. But are they going to break down during the season?
I think Wolves and Burnley go, and then it's going to be a toss up between Forest, Brentford, and West Ham for me, and Leeds.
Yeah.
That's where I see it. That's where I see it. But yes.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be difficult, mate. I'm gonna move on. Thank you very much.
I just thought, I watch you a lot of the time, and really because being a 60-year-old disabled guy that spends half his life freaking following Premier League and watching Premier League, watching guys like you are actually and living in New Zealand. And watching guys like you actually, I'm never going to get to Selhurst Park.
Well, you never know in life.
Well, I do because I've got kids and blah, blah, blah. But watching guys like you and bringing the game to me and being able to chat and that sort of stuff does make a big difference to a lot of people. So keep going, man. And
really appreciate that, Kev. Make sure you come on as well. Obviously Mondays when the phone lines are open. Obviously we're following Palace big time this year as well. So make sure you're welcome on anytime. Really appreciate the feedback as well. The Footy Social Club's going absolutely nowhere. Let me tell you that one.
Like my rock band.
Cheers, Kev. Much appreciated. Kev there calling in from New Zealand. Phone lines are open, guys. Make sure you get yourselves on there. Crystal Palace. This is what I love about doing this as well, is that so many channels focus on the so-called big clubs. But ultimately, the Premier League is only good because it's competitive right the way through the league, with the exception of last season where there were some poor teams. So the phone lines are open to anyone. You can be Palace, Bournemouth, Fulham, whoever you support. Your opinion on football is valid right here on this channel. So make sure you get yourselves online. Come and have a say in the chat. Really appreciate the feedback from Kev. Really appreciate his opinions as well. I've seen him obviously regularly down the chat and stuff like that. So, absolutely love it. Appreciate that as well. Mercury Dime. Burnley Leeds next. I'm massively surprised by this one. Leeds are in free fall. Daniel Farke was my favourite to be sacked as the first manager this season. And Burnley seem to have a habit over the newly promoted sides. They beat Sunderland earlier in the season, one of only Sunderland's 2 losses this year. And they turned it on this weekend with a couple of brilliant goals. Tachoa and Ugachuka, as I call him, scoring for Burnley as they beat Leeds 2-0. Now, Leeds have got to put this right. They're goal shy. They lack creativity. I thought Daniel Farke was making good inroads, in all honesty, a few weeks back, but I'm now not so sure. Tachuna scores a worldie. They're not... If this continues for another 3 or 4 games, then they're going to find themselves bereft of confidence it won't matter whether, Ellen Road or on the road, they're going to lose games. They showed on the international break, or just prior to the international break, that as a team, they could take it to Tottenham, which they did, but they were wasteful in their opportunities. And as such, obviously, they lost that game. They didn't overly create a huge amount of chances in the game against Burnley. And as such, obviously, they lost the game, And I worry for them now. I look at Wolves, I look at Burnley. And I'd almost go now that Burnley have got a better chance of staying up than Leeds, given how poor Leeds looked. I watch Burnley and I believe that Scott Parker is trying to evolve his team whilst in the Premier League. Vincent Kompany tried to do that a few years ago, but made a whole heap of changes, and that was never going to work. Scott Parker's trying to do it. They have one of the smallest budgets in the Premier League, Burnley, as a club as well. Leeds have been out and spent money. But maybe as the season unfolds, Burnley might actually catch Leeds, whether that's because Leeds are falling backwards. But at the moment when I look at it, I'm more impressed with what I've seen from Burnley, and they sit down in the bottom three. They've got themselves out. They're 17th as it stands on 7 points. Leeds have 8 points. Both of these clubs would have looked at this as 6 points, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's 6 points. But Scott Parker, organisation, the energy, the ideas was far better. But what he's got to do now is take that into games where it's not Leeds, where it's not Aston Villa, those sorts of games. Because it's all well and good beating Leeds. It's all well and good beating Sunderland. But you've got to now beat all the other teams around you. Otherwise, you're just not going to have enough points. Someone's got to go down. They're still within it. And when I look at the bottom three, I think West Ham under Nuno get out. I think Forest under Deitch get out. They'll have a bad season in Europe and whatever else, but ultimately they're out the League Cup. Sean Deitch will get them organised. He'll get them out. I think Wolves go, and I think Pereira possibly walks as well. It's touch and go. But Leeds as a team at the moment look a bit of a mess. And if he goes and loses a few more games, then I wouldn't be surprised if the media pressure grows. Just looking at their fixtures, next they've got West Ham. That's another 6-pointer. It's another 6-pointer. Then it's Brighton. Then it's Forest. There's another 6-pointer. Then they've got tough trips then they've got Villa at home, Man City away. That sort of plays out their November. They've got tough games. They've got to look under Daniel Farke at Ellen Road to beat West Ham, but Nuno will have West Ham organised. A trip away to Brighton, they're not going to get anything. Trip away to Forest under Sean Dyche, maybe. I don't see Leeds getting anything there either. I see them being bullied. Home against Villa, Emery's turning it around now. 5 straight wins in all competitions. Then Man City. That puts them right in the relegation zone come the end of November. And then I think Leeds change it from a managerial perspective. Let me know your thoughts down in the chat. There we go. Anyone that can help Steve Cook out down in the chat, trying to get tickets for St. James's, you guys know what to do. You can reach out to me through social media or whatever else. If you can help Steve get tickets for St. James's Park, I'm sure he would greatly appreciate it. Daniel says he's 7th in the Fantasy Football League. We'll have a look at that as well. I appreciate that, Malcolm, as well. Agreeing with Kev, it's your way of watching honest pundits. I greatly appreciate that. Always try to give my honest opinion. Don't always get it right either. But one thing I'll ever do is do anything for clickbait. Anything that I produce or speak about, I put out, is how I watched the game or how I seen something or take an opinion. And I hope as the time goes on, the show grows based on people realising that, and it's nothing there for clickbait. We've discussed Palace Bournemouth. I'm not going to stick with that one. What have we been doing already? How long have we been going for? Best part of what? nearly an hour or so already, I would say. Nearly 56 minutes, and we're about 3 games in. Love it. We'll get through them all. Palace Bournemouth we'll cover off. What I will say was, though, what a throwback of football. 3-3. Mateta's on fire. Both teams look excellent. Can they maintain it? I really hope so, because I think it's great for the Premier League. I think Bournemouth will finish higher than Palace if the injuries are good. Can Palace keep hold of Gahey in January? I fear that they probably will cash in just because they need to take something from that deal. But both teams are excellent. And anyone trying to push themselves up the league should 100% try to follow their models. I can see Sterling's in here. Just give me 1 second as well. There's what more in the chat. Morning, Sterling. How are you, my friend over in Ghana? Are you there, Sterling? Hello, Sterling. How are you? I can hear you, Sterling, loud and clear. Sterling, are you there? I'll give you one more chance.
Sterling, I'm coming. I'll call back again.
Come back in, Sterling. Come back in. We'll come back to Sterling in just a moment's time. We'll go on to Man City, Everton. And Sam, if you're in the chat still, can't see everyone. If you're in the chat, morning to Toonfan68 as well. Sam, I'd love your opinion on the Man City game. I've got some questions around Man City. Maybe I'll put them out now. First one being, here we go. Here's my moment. Erling Haaland, is he covering up the flaws within this Manchester City team? I'll put that one out there first. Here's Sterling again. Let's just try and get Sterling in. Let's try again. Sterling, can you hear me? Come in, Ghana. Good morning, Sterling. How are you?
Fine, thank you. How are you too?
Not too bad at all. What do you want to talk about this morning, my friend? I'm guessing it's Arsenal related.
Okay. I'll talk about Arsenal to give room for the others. In first things first, in terms of how we played on Saturday, I believe that we were poor. And I know fans will probably be blaming Gyökeres to an extent, but I felt that we didn't create enough chances on Saturday. I think we're so bad in terms of creativity.
Okay,
I don't know if you can hear me.
Break it down further for me in terms of, because there was a change in formation. Obviously, Zubimendi and Rice played as a 2. Eze played in front. This is a thing I want to talk about with Arsenal, and I'll do it now as you're an Arsenal fan on the phone. People talk about set piece FC, but how do you get set pieces? By going forward and getting towards the opposition's box, and it takes a deflection and goes out for a corner. Arsenal create chances in a different way to the way that the likes of Manchester City and Liverpool in the past have done. Are they at their fluid best? No. But let me put it this way to you. If Gyökeres had scored his 2 key chances, would it not be a different narrative that we're starting to create chances for Victor Gyökeres and maybe it's different?
Okay, so I think I'll probably have to rephrase it this way. We create chances, but we don't create enough clear-cut chances. If you, I don't know if you remember, but the chances that Gyökeres got, let me say, they were from angles that I'll probably say he's not going, naturally, he's not going to score from those angles. That's what I would say. The chances that we give to Gyökeres inside the box are not chances that, let me say, as a team, you create for someone that you call your striker. More or less, it was. I honestly don't know how to describe this, but
16 shots at the weekend for Arsenal against Fulham. Sterling. They're currently 3rd in the table for goals scored, and obviously leading the goals against. As a defensive unit, they're very, very strong.
Yeah, but the chances are not good enough. If I don't know how to put it this way, if you take a look at the goals that were created for Rotemade or probably Haaland, it's yeah, there are chances that by any means is what you call a clear cut chance given to a striker. But other but what more or less we let me say we had more chances on shots that were not from clear cut chances. I don't know how to describe it.
What do you want to see?
language,
What do
so
you want
to
to see
express it,
different, Sterling?
okay.
What do you want to see different from Arteta? Then how do you fix what you're not liking at the moment on the pitch?
Okay, so I think it is more to how we transition our play. We are not fast enough in terms when we are in the transition. Whenever we have the ball, instead of us to probably move forward in attack a bit more faster, then we hold the ball, then try to keep possession of it. And then by the time that we realize the entire box is cramped, the opposition box is cramped up with players, and we now try to figure out a way to play into them again and try and get a goal. Whenever we are in the transition, there are multiple times when I've seen Gyökeres make runs. We don't pass the ball to him when he's making those runs, or it could be from sometimes a Martinelli, or it could, even Saka. Saka too is also at fault with it. When he gets the ball, instead of him to quickly, make a good decision in terms of the next pass in the final third, he holds the ball, tries to take the player on a 1v1, and then by the time I realize the opposition's box is cramped up again, and we now have to work out the way again to score.
Are you not happy that we're top of the league though?
Well, top of the league, yeah, but as if we need to do it in, let me say, if form is temporary, class is permanent. The play is not showing enough class in terms of how we are doing it. The form is there. Other teams are out of form. Probably that's why we are first. If Liverpool starts firing right now, we drop to second. If City keep on with their good form, we drop to second. So far, only option in terms of scoring goal has been set pieces, and let me say once in a while, a goal from a winger here and there. That's the same story that we had last season, and we didn't win the league with it. If we're repeating the same story this year, we are not going far away. That's a disappointing fact. Unless we change how we play as early as we can, if Arteta is able to get things right, then I think we'll say the fact of us securing the top spot is more guaranteed than how it is now at the moment.
Okay. Sterling, I'm going to let you go. It's a little bit of interference on the line. There's a little bit of a delay as well. Listen out to my opinion on Arsenal in a minute. I'm going to get there, but thanks for calling in, my friend. Appreciated. Sterling there on the line, all the way over from Ghana. A little bit of a delay there, a little bit of echo on the line as well. But yeah, no, good to have Sterling on as always. Let me know what you think on that. But going back to Man City, Steve says, I reckon Pep is just rebuilding, give him another couple of transfer windows and they'll be back. The 115 charges are about to get announced on that as well. Is that going to affect Manchester City? I thought they did okay, but I think Everton as well obviously had chances. They showed for me that you can get at this Manchester City team. Without Rodri, City are a completely different animal. We all know that. And I think obviously are they becoming a one-man team is probably another question as well. I feel like they are just so reliant on Erling Haaland. That's what I feel when I watch this Manchester City team at the moment. Yes, he is that good. A great header from across from O'Reilly. Savinho gets him another assist for him to score, 5-6 minutes later. And look, if you've got that much talent in that position, you've got to use it to the best of your ability. But I wonder whether or not City can maintain this with Erling Haaland. If Erling Haaland was to get injured, does City have a huge problem on their hands? Because where else are they really scoring goals at the moment? It's all well and good everyone saying, wow, Erling Haaland scoring week in, week out. But there's not much else coming from anywhere else. And you can have a go at this back line. Certainly through the middle, over the top, balls over the top. You can have a go at this back line. So City are in a great place. They sit obviously second in the league. They're 3 points behind Arsenal. In all honesty, I'd like City to be further back. They don't, characteristically for this time of year, they are normally further back. If they get to Christmas and it's in and around 3 points, or if City are top, then for me, there's only one team that's winning the league this season, and that's Manchester City. And they are still slight favourites when it comes to the Premier League. Sam, do me a huge favour. Come on, I can see you've just come in the chat. Way more positive now on City. Come in the chat. I want to talk to you about Erling Haaland. I want to talk to you about the way I saw Everton play about them. Come in, let's have a chat about it as well. But I do think at the moment they're a little bit over reliant on Erling Haaland. But they are also in a great spot. They've now won 5, drawn 1, lost 2, scoring goals. They're 4-5 games unbeaten. They're in a good spot, but it's going to be difficult to see them maintaining it if it's always through Erling Haaland. That's my point. I thought Everton did well. Obviously, no Jack Grealish. I like that in Jai. Beto obviously should have scored. And that's the thing. Teams like Forest, Everton, when you get these chances, you have to take the opportunities, because eventually the cream rises to the top, and that's what happened. Everton didn't take chances. Man City took their chances. Who do you guys think is favourite for the Premier League at the moment? Do you think City, based on history, the fact that they've won so many Premier Leagues in the last 10 years, they've got players that understand how to win that league. Guardiola understands how to win it. That gives him the one up over Mikel Arteta. For me, it's, when I look at the two squads, good man, Sam's here. Give me 1 second. When I look at the two squads, I think Arsenal have got a better squad, but City have got the know-how. Right, let me bring Sam in. Morning, Sam. How are you, my friend? How did you assess the performance overall against Everton at the weekend?
I think first half I was very frustrated. I think with the wingers, I think they're our biggest. I think if anything's going to hold us back from winning, it'll definitely be the wingers. They're just so inconsistent. In the first half, Sabino had about so many chances. That guy just cannot finish. But then in the second half, I don't know, Foden just, he was absolutely amazing in the second half. He was putting so many chances for Haaland, and Haaland just now whenever he gets a chance, he finishes it, doesn't he? So
yeah, absolutely, he does indeed, 100% he does. But are you too reliant on Erling Haaland?
Yeah.
I think you're too reliant on Erling Haaland. I think as a team at the moment, it's papering over a few things. I still worry about City defensively. That's probably my biggest thing.
I'm not as worried defensively now.
Funny enough, the one that worries me is Diaz.
I think Diaz has looked all right now for. I don't know how. I don't even know. I was thinking a few weeks back that maybe Diaz has put a return to form because he's more comfy with Kusanov on his right than he would be with Nunes.
Yeah.
But Nunes the other day was very good. And I thought that Diaz was good. The weaker defender was probably Ake. And I think most people would probably agree he's a bit past it now.
Yeah.
He's just a bit slow. I thought that Diaz was all right. I do think he's better when he's got Vardy or Stones or Kusanov next to him just to provide a bit of pace.
Yeah.
I think when he's next to someone who's very slow like Ake, it kind of brings his weaknesses out of him.
Do you think I think you're still just favourites for the league this year, given that typically you start slow, 8 to 15 games. City could be fifth, and I, as an Arsenal fan, and I think we'll be right in the race this year. I want City to be 10, 12, 15 points behind. The fact you're only 3 and building momentum now, I think seriously dangerous for the rest of the Premier League.
I don't know if I'd put us favourites, because although I am more positive than I was, like, until people other than Haaland start scoring, like your Savinos, your Dokus, your Reinders, your Bobs, I think eventually Haaland isn't going to score every game. He might score every other game.
Yeah,
There'll be like a dry patch where like he won't score, and you kind of need your other players to step up. Luckily, now that we've got Marmoush and Cherky back, who was mint by the way when he came on, he looked incredible.
Cherky's going to be brilliant.
Yeah, him and Foden were linking up brilliantly, and he's had a lot of stick over last year, Foden.
What do you put down to Foden's? What do you put down to Foden's form last year compared to where he's going this year? What do you think happened?
Well, it were pretty like well documented in the news that he had some mental health problems. But I mean, whether you can, I don't really want to speak on that. You'd more like speak on the actual, I don't know, on the team itself. I think now that we're more confident, people are playing like they're playing the more like risky pass into him. So now and Foden plays well the more he's on the ball. Last year he just wasn't on the ball a lot. This year he's getting way more touches. In the second half he was all over the place. It was like watching David Silva. He was absolutely amazing. From deep he were incredible. And him and Cherky and Nico G, I mean, honestly, I think that now that Nico's a bit more comfy, he's playing more forward passes. He can take more risks, and now you're seeing the best of Foden again.
What's your thoughts around the 115 charges, given that I believe that it's now imminent that this is going to get announced? You go and watch City games. I'm sure it's been discussed for a number of seasons, hasn't it now? But I think it's coming in the next 2 or 3 weeks. What's your gut feeling of the repercussions, or will there be any repercussions for Manchester City?
I think what will happen is we'll probably get a fine for your non-compliance or whatever.
No transfer ban?
No. I don't think there'll be any serious thing. I think that City will be found innocent of most of the stuff except for your non-compliance charges, because I think it was something like we didn't hand over the documents or something. So yeah, I'm very confident for it. I don't think you get a £1 billion deal from Puma or whatever if like Puma or City or Haaland on his 10-year deal thinks that you're going to be found guilty. I think it's a stupid thing to put all these players on these contracts if you think you're going to be found guilty.
Yeah.
I think that City are very confident, and you already. I mean, I already know what everyone will say, but yeah.
We'll see. Look, if you're found innocent, you're found innocent, right? At the end of the day, of whatever those charges are, it's not for me to say whether City are guilty or not.
I mean, you found innocent, yeah, but you won't be found innocent from a lot of people. You'll still have all these Liverpool fans saying, "Oh, you need to hand all the trophies back, or you cheats." It's like, no, we were just way better than you all those seasons.
Yeah, look, City have been incredible. I'm wondering whether Pep will stay on past when his contracts expires next season or whatever else. We'll have to wait and see. Did you manage to see Jack Grealish for a cheeky vodka?
I did not know. I did not.
I wondered whether he'd be at the game or not.
He was in the east stand, I was in the south stand, so I did not go and see my best mate Jack.
Super Jack. Well, look, 16 points. It's starting to look pretty solid for Manchester City, and Erling Haaland continues to terrorise defences. It's just, as for me, the biggest question is at the moment is the City are two over a line, I think, and whether or not he can maintain it, because that's the pressure I think it will need for City to deliver themselves another Premier League title. Go on, Sam.
A lot of people have had this thing over Pep that you can't rebuild a team.
Yeah.
If we do continue this form now, that needs to stop.
If you win a league, then he's rebuilt a team.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly.
But historically, he hasn't. Bayern, it's not his thing. Barcelona wasn't his thing.
I don't really agree with this though. I think because we've won so much while rebuilding, it masks over him rebuilding the team. Like your treble team has basically none of the same players that we had in your 2017-18. The only reason people say he hasn't rebuilt is because we were winning so often.
Yeah. Yes, I think there's versions of a rebuild, right? And it's whether it's done in stages or whether it's aggressive. So at the moment, Liverpool fans consider themselves going through a rebuild. 5 players in their first team change. Pep hasn't necessarily done that. It's been 1 or 2. It's been systematic little tweaks.
I don't really agree with that.
That's okay. That's the beauty of this show, isn't it? You can have an opinion. Go on, give me your version of it.
I think that he clearly has rebuilt City at least once before. I mean, he went from Edison, who's basically been the only player who's been here from your 17-18 season till your 23-24 season.
Yeah.
Diaz wasn't there. Haaland wasn't there. Rodri wasn't there. We had Aguero. All the wingers have changed. Your fullbacks have changed. Your centre backs have changed. Every single position.
100%. Of course, he's gonna make signings, players move on. But I think it's the fact that they've been gradual additions and smaller. That's just my opinion. That's just I don't watch City week in week out.
That's like a flawed way of thinking, though. Just because, like, I think. So basically, what people are saying is that if we would have lost and got worse, then he would have spent more money, and we would have had to change like instantly. But instead, it's been a progressive rebuild. We've kept winning, and now that's all of a sudden not a rebuild.
Yeah. Look,
I feel like people move the goalposts for him.
I think you're going to get that when you've got targets on your back, when you've obviously had the money that you've had. There's always going to be football fans like that. Here's one for you from Baxi. He says, let's be clear. If City and the Premier League find a settlement, that does not mean you're innocent. Give me your thoughts on that.
Whatever, man. I mean, as long as there's no point deduction, I mean, all I'll say is that Chelsea were found guilty. No one's talking on that now, are you?
Yeah, true.
All of a sudden, you're not guilty if you hand yourself in. You can't like cheat and just say, "Oh, I did it then." Oh, I guess that just means that you're innocent if you hand yourself in. If you claim that you're not guilty, you're guilty. Obviously.
Yeah. No, mate. Look, I don't disagree. I don't think City will get found guilty of anything. And the fallout from that will be news for days. I think City will be found innocent on all charges. And I'm not going to sit and say they've paid their way out of it or this or that, because that's not happening either. That's not how courts work and whatever else. There's got to be substantial evidence to prove that they are guilty. And I don't think they'll be found guilty. I just don't. I really don't.
All I'm saying is people need to keep the same energy for Chelsea. because all of a sudden that's gone very quiet.
Yep, absolutely. It has indeed. Indeed, you'll be worried about Man United soon anyway, Sam. You'll have other things to think about with them starting to pick up some form, mate. They're only 3 points behind Manchester City now, and we're talking about leagues that have, teams that are having good seasons.
Yeah, back in top half now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done, lads.
Back up there. Sam, thanks for coming on, mate. Much appreciated, as always, my man. I will speak to you very, very soon.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Bye.
Cheers, bud. Well done. Sam there coming on talking about Manchester City. There was a little bit of interference on the line. We solved it during the phone call. Sunderland next. Let's upset the Geordies. Sunderland are excellent. I don't care what anyone says. Lebris, Granit Xhaka, they are the perfect duo. They are the Bonnie and Clyde of the Premier League this year. What they're doing, where they sit, 7th, is it, in the league? 14 points. They're doing everything right. The question for me now is, how far can Sunderland finish up the table this season? Because they're never going to be in a relegation dogfight. Wolves are in a relegation dogfight. That's for sure. Sunderland, no. And the way Lebris has got them organised, the stadium clearly is going to be a fortress. They are looking to be a top side. And I actually feel as if with Sunderland that this momentum, there'll be a drop off. I think physically the Premier League's very different to the Championship. It's going to make it harder as the season goes on. But I feel as if Sunderland will probably finish around that 12th to 14th position, which is absolutely brilliant. I just don't see them free falling. I can't wait to see them play against Newcastle this year. I think it's going to be an excellent game, that one. But they put Wolves to the sword. They're just so well organised, especially at home. And teams that are coming up and looking to try and stay in the Premier League need to look at or get on the phone to Lebris and understand what they did. Because it's absolutely phenomenal the way Sunderland are playing at the moment. Phenomenal. To sit 7th in the league after 8 games with 14 points. And I know that I have Newcastle fans in here that detest Sunderland, but I have said so many times before that you want Sunderland to be in the Premier League because it makes it a better Premier League when your arch rivals are there. Because what do? First game of the season, you go to the fixtures. When are we playing Sunderland? And it's going to be a belter of a game at both stadiums. It will be an absolute belter. Wolves battered Sunderland in the second half. Wolves had a go. Yes, Craig, they had a go. I don't disagree with that, but I still think Sunderland did enough to win the game. If I'm honest, I still think Sunderland did enough to win the game. Goal up at halftime. Obviously, the own goal. They didn't make life easy for themselves in the second half. But did I think Wolves were ever going to win the game? No, that's probably the difference, Stephen. As soon as I said Bonnie and Clyde, I was like, I know what happens to Bonnie and Clyde. They get shot. Good film, that. Get blown apart. Good pick up, Stephen, down in the chat there. I'm not sure when the derby is. The Newcastle fans will know. I think they've got Chelsea next, then Everton, then Arsenal, Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Man City. Sunday the 14th, Sunderland versus Newcastle. That will be a game. They've got some tough games to come, but they're going well. As for Wolves, Pereira's come out and said this week that if the players, the club, don't believe in him anymore, then he is more than willing to step down. And I talked a few weeks ago about the fact that you've got to be in and around touching distance at 10 games. They've played 8. They've got 2 points. They are 5 points adrift at the moment. They're just, for me, in touching distance. But I'm now not too convinced. They've got Burnley next. I mean, at home, that is absolutely huge. That game. They need every Wolves fan singing their heart out at Molineux next Sunday. Then it's Chelsea. Fulham, they've got some tough games. Palace, Villa, Forest, United, Arsenal. It's not going to get that easy, but he's got to close the gap. He's got to get Pereira in and around that 5 to 8, 9 points in the next 3 or 4 games. Because if not, they'll be cut adrift and they'll go. And as I said earlier, 2 or 3 have got to go. Is there anyone that actually sees Wolves surviving now this season? Is there anyone that sees Sunderland falling down the league into a relegation zone? Nobby says, good morning, Nobby. Hope you're well. Wolves are down. Been saying this for weeks. They're done. Morning to SAFC for life. 14th of December. There you go. What did you make of the Sunderland performance? As I said, the own goal obviously made it easy late on. But I thought overall it was pretty good. A few nerves there. Guitar News says, not true, Chris. We have more to lose as they'll play more dirty, I believe. I don't think Sunderland. Granit Xhaka might. I think he's in the Premier League team of the season as it stands, and I'm not saying that because he's ex-Arsenal. I think he's been influential in everything Sunderland do at the moment on the pitch. He is your true, general on the pitch for Lebris. It's such a smart piece of business what they've done. And I think they'll spend again in January if they're in and around the top 10, 12 places. I think they'll do a little bit more to reaffirm their position. I'm going to move it on, guys. We've got plenty still to get through as I make my way through. Just going to get the fixtures up. Just give me a second. But yeah, great performance from Sunderland. Overall, Wolves had a go in the second half, but they got the job done. Another clean sheet, back to winning ways. It was a poor performance for me against Manchester United before the international break, and they put that right this week by taking 3 points against Wolves. They've done a professional job and they move on. Sunderland have had easier fixtures so far. To be fair, they ain't played any of the big boys. Steve, no good pickup. They haven't, but they can only beat what's in front of them. And I think their poorest performance was Manchester United. I know they lost second game of the season to Burnley, but Burnley didn't play bad against Tottenham in the opening game away from home. And I felt that against United, Sunderland were poor. They just weren't at the races against ultimately what wasn't a great Manchester United team either. Game of 2 halves. I knew Wolves would come at you second half. But they couldn't score. Absolutely. Wolves had the ball, they had the possession, they had half chances and whatever else. But I still felt Sunderland had gears to go. And ultimately it took an own goal, but they got there in the end. I'll touch on Arsenal versus Fulham next. Whatever anyone says at the moment, it isn't the prettiest game of football. But there's 8 games now that we've get clean sheets in all competitions. They've conceded 3 goals all season. Newcastle, Liverpool and Man City. I'll take that. They're scoring goals. They've got 15. Yes, 5 were against Leeds. Are there things Arsenal have got to work on? Absolutely. But are leagues won in October? No, they can be lost in October, but they are not won in October. However, the fixtures that we have played so far, Arsenal are 7 points better off against those fixtures from last season. They are doing it different. They are restricting teams to 10 shots and less in each game in the Premier League. That is phenomenal. The squad depth that Arsenal have is second to none. Second to none. There isn't a better squad in the Premier League per position. There are squads with better players, but there is not a better squad overall. Arteta has no excuses, and in fairness, I think that he knows that, and I think he's probably tired of the set piece FC tag Stoke City, 2.0 that's been levelled at him. He drew attention to that in his post-match press conference. He talked about the fact that Arsenal target teams that play the low block. Arsenal know they're going to have a lot of possession. From that, they're going to draw a lot of set pieces. So they've worked on it. And whilst it's not pretty, do the rule books, do the history books, do they say that you can't score as many goals as you want from set pieces? Do the history books say, well, Arsenal won the league by basically winning it on corners? No. Do I think you can go the whole season doing this? No, I don't. But whilst we try and get it right on the pitch, and I think it's this year or nothing, then I genuinely believe Arsenal are right in it. Right in it. Because Results like against Fulham, where we have dropped points the last 2 seasons and finished as bridesmaids, 3 times finishing second. Saturday's performance wasn't a category and Arsenal type of performance in terms of what we're used to. This is the new Arsenal, the resolute Arsenal. Saliba, Timber, Gabriel, Calafiori. Calafiori's goal was offside, but the move was breathtaking. They nullified Fulham, and it's only Fulham, but Craven Cottage is not the easiest place to go. And I just think that we need to address the Gyökeres situation. I've talked about the media narrative around that. And the only way you address that is to keep playing him. And you have to keep giving him the confidence that the goals are going to come. And I think the Arsenal fans are being patient with that as well. And I think that's a good thing. Because I still believe that once he finds the back of the net, is he going to score Haaland goals? No. Is he going to score Isak goals when he wore a black and white shirt? Probably not. But Arsenal share the goals around far more than maybe what those other teams do. But he is starting to look a better player. He looks fitter. He should have scored at the weekend, but I feel like that will come. The biggest thing from his perspective is he needs to score a goal at an important time in an important game, and the confidence that that will bring to Victor Gyökeres will be absolutely huge. That's what he needs. Will he do it? Yeah, he will. Hopefully it's against Chelsea or Tottenham. I mean, if you're going to adhere yourself to the fans, Tottenham, November the 23rd, I'll be in the UK for it, heading to the awards for the Footy Social Club, for the Football Content Creators Awards. It's my last day in England before I fly back. That's how you adhere yourself to the fans. And I'm going to say it now, he'll score in that game, and then he won't look back. As for Fulham, they started the game pretty well. First 10-15, I thought they were good. But they didn't hurt Arsenal. And Craig earlier messaged me, watched my videos, always engages, really appreciate it. And he said you can't win it this way. Doesn't rate Gyökeres. That's fair enough. That's his opinion. But you can't win it playing this way. I think Daniel said it earlier. Sterling was alluding to that earlier. But we've also brought in a lot of players, and we're finding adjustments. Zubamendi's finding his feet. Gyökeres is finding his feet. We've got players out. They're going in the right way. I didn't think Arsenal would be top of the league after 8-9 games in the league. I really didn't. So overall, I'm pretty delighted. Can we do better? Yeah. But we ain't losing the league in October. But we ain't winning it either. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's go on to Sunday. 2 games to go. Remember, Brentford play West Ham this Monday. Spurs, Aston Villa. There is nothing that pleases me more to watch Spurs lose. They started the game brilliantly. Rodrigo Bentancur gave them the lead. But Spurs do what Spurs do, and they do it brilliantly. And even under Thomas the Frank engine, well, look, they're wobbling a little bit. Villa, 2 brilliant goals. Morgan Rogers, Emi Buendia. I think that for both goals, Vicario could have done better. That would be an unpopular opinion by Gaz. But I think Vicario's at fault. I sent him a message the other day saying that Tottenham are looking at another goalkeeper. I certainly think his positioning for the Buendia one was awful. He was too far towards his near post. Spurs lack a striker. That's for sure. Dom Solanke's not fit. I still don't think he's the long-term answer up top either. I'd be looking at whether you could bring Kane back or Ivan Toney. Normally, Spurs lose on the eve of an international break. They had an extra day longer than most. But it's not quite right there either at the moment. Frank's still trying to find the best solution for Xavi Simons. I'm not quite sure whether he's best on the left, and I think in another world they want a Semenyo or someone else down that left-hand side. I think Frank ideally wants to see Xavi Simons into the 10, maybe a little bit more. I thought Kudus was good. He took his goal well, albeit offside. There's positives there, but once again, it's more drop points. And at home, Tottenham have got to be better. You know, that's now drop points against Wolves. That's drop points against Bournemouth. And that's drop points against Aston Villa. And for Tottenham and Frank, that's not good enough this season. They're now 6th in the Premier League, 14 points. And when you start to look at the teams above them, bar Bournemouth, I think Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City and Arsenal all finish above Tottenham Hotspur this season. Gaz is different from the Bournemouth game, just found lacking with a bit more firepower, which is obvious at the moment considering we need to get through the next few games before Big Solanke and Kulu are back. I just don't see that Solanke solves your problems, if I'm honest. I really don't. But that's just my opinion. And the other question is Solanke going to stay fit for Spurs? You know, Maddison's a loss. Kulusevski. Spurs love to bang the drum about injuries. All clubs have got injuries. Newcastle have got them. Arsenal have got them. You know, all clubs have got injuries. Spurs will just point to the fact that they haven't got this or that. Well, you know, others haven't got it as well. I thought Villa and Emery are starting to look far better. Far, far better. They took their chances. They were ruthless with that. I thought Emery got his set up pretty good, in all honesty. Emi Buendia, I'm amazed. You know, it's not very often players go out on loan, especially when they're not young players, and find themselves back in the first team. He was on loan, I think, at Leverkusen last season. And here he is now back in the Villa team. His goal was really good. I said Vicario, Spurs have got to look at that. They missed Romero at the back. Van de Ven does not look the same central defender playing against Danso as he does when he's got the physicality of Christian Romero next to him. And as in terms of where Van de Ven is in terms of centre-backs, Gaz, I'll take Gabriel and Saliba any day over Mickey Van de Ven, Romero, Danso, all of them. You can keep them. What we've got is far better. Villa may have had 2 shots on target. Absolutely. Absolutely. But they took their chances. Rodgers' goal was brilliant as well. It was a great goal. Vicario, I think, could do better. Positioning-wise on both, not good enough. And Spurs have got to just try and, as I think Gaz said there, steady the ship. It's Monaco in the Champions League next. Tricky game against Everton. You know, they've got some tough away games coming up. In fact, the next 3, looking at their fixtures now, Monaco away, Everton away at the Hills Dickinson. That won't be easy. Grealish has had a rest there off the back of a Champions League night, and that's for a lot of clubs where it does become difficult. And then Newcastle away, that albeit in the League Cup. Pretty sure that Newcastle will win that one. Then it's Chelsea in the Premier League at home. They've got momentum. Before, you know, Copenhagen, Man United. In fact, it goes on. Arsenal away, PSG away. The run through November for Tottenham is going to be extremely defining on just where they might finish this season in the Premier League. As I said there, let's read them off again. PSG in late November. Before that, it's Arsenal. Then it's United before that. Copenhagen, Chelsea, Newcastle in the Cup, Everton away, Monaco. It's not easy. Thomas Frank's not used to that volume of football as well. Quick turnarounds. It's going to be interesting. Guys says they're way better away from home at the moment. Is that the pressure? Is that the pressure of expectation that Tottenham are struggling to deal with? Or is it the fact that maybe Spurs at the moment are a better counter-attacking team than wanting to be a team who want to dominate the ball, especially when they are at home? I don't agree with you, Craig, that Spurs are better balanced than maybe Newcastle, maybe Chelsea. I don't think they're better balanced than Arsenal. Where are they better balanced than Arsenal? Defensively, we're good. We're scoring goals. I don't agree with that at all. That's your opinion, but I don't agree with it. Liverpool, maybe. Spurs could knock you out the cup, but I also think Frank will rest players for the League Cup as well. It will be 2 reserve teams and a tough run to come. And, you know, Monaco, you've got a lot to try and do it. Everton away is a massive banana skin. But Spurs will go in the right places. I know Gaz, you know, would like to be on here if he wasn't so scared after losing to Villa. But I think he's even said that fifth or sixth is the realistic positioning this season for Tottenham Hotspur. For Villa, they'll look to build momentum now. Like, that win, all of a sudden, they've played 8. They've got 12 points. 3 wins, 3 draws, 2 defeats. It looks a little better. That's 3 straight wins for Emery in the Premier League. It's 5 straight wins in all competitions. And when I look at what Villa have got coming up, go ahead Eagles in the bloody Europa League, that's going to be easy. They can rest players there. That's easy for Emery. Then it's City, Liverpool. They've got some tough games. Bournemouth, they equally have got tough games. But you feel like Emery's starting to turn the Villa ship just a little bit more. 3-point lane every single time when Chelsea go there, says Daniel. Absolutely. Chelsea got a great record against Tottenham Hotspur. Gaz is in. Hang on a second. He's on. He can't take the banter. He's got a toothache. Let's get the violin out. Give me 1 second, Gaz. Gaz, morning, mate. I know you desperately wanted to be on here. I know you're not ducking and diving. How's the tooth, first and foremost? Have you called the emergency surgery yet?
Yeah, tooth's not good yet. Trying to get things all booked now. But no, I can't be listening to some of this. I have to throw some of my words in.
Go on. The floor's yours, mate. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. No. About the Spurs game, I mean, I'm just looking at what Craig's saying as well. Some of the things, we don't look too bad, Tottenham. Problem is with Spurs at the minute, we are lacking that sort of cutting edge. It was a good game against Villa. We just like I said, Villa, them 2 shots. I don't think you could do a lot about them shots, to be honest. But great finish from Morgan Rogers. And a serious finish from Buendia, who's come back as well. But for me, like I said, we are
lost Gaz there.
I know
sorry, Gaz, lost you. Sorry, Gaz, we just lost you there. Carry on, mate.
A tough run coming in. Sorry, mate. I know we got a tough run coming in, but hopefully Dom should be back soon once he's got his ankle thing sorted, and I think that should be able to, make that difference.
Yeah, we talked about Spurs being a B+ so far on Friday's show for where Frank's at so far. The home form, if I'm Thomas Frank, would worry me at the moment.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, the minute we just look industrial, we're not boring as such, but the lack of creativity is killing us a little bit. I think Bergvall plays well when he comes on. It looks brilliant. For me, I think I'd be shoving Xavi to the left for the time being, just until we can sort of solidify that left side position. And soon as we can sort of get that sort of focal striker, producing better. Richarlison looked poor when he come on. He just didn't offer anything. Odegaard and Tell, they're just not quite ready yet, even though they're doing well at under 21s at France, under 21s together. They've been scoring goals, looking well, but they're not quite Premier League ready yet.
Agreed.
For me, I'll be sticking, Simmons on the left. I'll be having Bergvall in the 10, and I know he's more of an 8 than the 10. Until we can sort of find, get Kulu back and Madison and Dom back. But it is what it is. We're going to cause teams problems still. Any team that comes at us, we're going to cause them problems. Villa just sucker punch just really did. It was a real frustrating game to watch. But I'm looking forward for teams that are going to attack us.
Yeah, but you've got to beat the teams that don't attack you as well. Question for you guys, and I know I wind you up at times about things. Give me your honest assessment of where Spurs are at with Vicario at the moment. He's been called out this weekend over positioning. It's not the first time. Maybe the Morgan Rogers one is harsh, and as good as the Emi Buendia strike is, his positioning there, that side of the goal, you could have parked a bus in there.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting it though, was he? I mean, he's
a goalkeeper. He's supposed to expect shots.
Yeah, but it was. I don't think he was very sighted. But by the look of it, he didn't look very well sighted because Morgan Rogers at one point, if he'd have touched it, he'd have been offside, wouldn't he? And he was blocked off. So I think if you look back at it, he was actually blocked off for the Buendia one. I think it's a bit harsh for if you're going to say anything about them 2 shots. However, you know where I stand on Vicario. Vicario, fantastic shot stopper. And there is grey areas about his
Do you believe
crossings
the
to say-
news that Tottenham are looking? Do you believe that or not?
Yeah, well, Frank's already said that. No, Frank's already said that he's not looking, and he's already said that. He's not that happy with Kinski at the minute in training. Apparently, Kinski's kind of not throwing the Troys at the pram a bit more, but he's not very happy with Kinski in training. It'd be interesting to see where we go with Kinski, and I think what could end up happening at Tottenham is if Kinski starts playing in some of the cup games and starts playing well, Vicario might come out and then come in and out, and then there might be a jury up. But at the moment, Vic's still our best goalkeeper, in my opinion.
Absolutely. As always, guys, you'd give your opinion on the opposition if you were live on the show today. Give me your opinion on Villa. 5 straight wins now in all competitions. Yeah. What do you make of what Emery's... He's turned the ship around, doesn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, definitely turned the ship. I mean, it was a bad start. I think... I don't know what, it's a tale of 2 starts of seasons, really. I mean, they started the first 4 games are terrible, and the last 5 games have been brilliant. So, but yeah, I just think, Villa's never going to have a problem, I don't think. I think for me, they got some good players, I know that Buendia is now back after a big ACL injury. That was a bad injury on him. But, when you got the likes of Morgan Rogers there, I mean, Watkins come on as well. I mean, they're fine. They're going to get you goals. Are they going to light up ships, Villa? No. Are they going to be the old Villa? No. But their sole focus is on that European... the
Unai Emery Trophy.
Yeah, the Unai Emery Trophy. Yeah. They're going to be all in on that. Once they're all in on that, they're going to do something, and that could then propel them back to the Champions League and go from there. That's going to be Villa's route. But league-wise, they'll be in and around the 8th to 10th mark, in my opinion.
Brilliant. Gaz, go get your teeth chopped out. Hopefully see you Wednesday if you're back. Thanks for coming on, mate. Appreciated. Rest up, buddy. And I will speak to you very, very soon.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, mate.
Bye. Gaz there. Off to the dentist soon. Get his tooth ripped out. Obviously suffering. Right, let's go on to the last game. It's the big one, isn't it? It's Manchester United beating Liverpool 2-1 at Anfield on Sunday. And where did Liverpool go from here? Where did Liverpool... And look, I know Newcastle fans are going to be delighted. I know football fans are going to be delighted. It's the champions losing. A couple of things. Were Liverpool as bad as what is being made out? 4 straight defeats in all competitions. They've lost to Palace, Galatasaray, Chelsea, now Manchester United. Does Slot know his best team? He says he hasn't changed tactics. But it looks different. They've got defensive issues. Van Dijk, Konate, Mo Salah on the right wing is not the same player. Isak's adjusting to life at Liverpool. You've got Ekitike in and out of the team. Thought Cody Gakpo on another day scores 4. Maybe that makes the result very, very different. There were signs that Liverpool were good, but there were signs as well that there is so much for Arne Slot to work on. So much for Arne Slot to work on. And I stand by what I said before the international break. And for those of you that haven't watched my post-match analysis, there is a playlist for those now. So please go check them out. Make sure you're liking on them as well and putting your comments in. I appreciate everyone that does it. I said at the start of the international break that Liverpool wouldn't be in the Premier League title race come Christmas. And after watching them against Manchester United, I don't think they will be. And it's really simple as to why. Have they got quality? Yes. Have they got individual quality? Absolutely they have. But as a team, they're not cohesion enough. They're not good enough at the moment as a team. And until that develops, and I think that takes another 4, 5, 6 games to develop, then Liverpool will continue to drop points. And sure, they might come on strong as the season develops and goes on. But I think by then the damage would have been done. I said with Arsenal, you can't lose a league in October. Sorry, you can't win a league in October, but you can certainly lose one. And I think Liverpool are bordering on losing one because they'll lose games. They've got Brentford away next. Are they going to lose that? Maybe not. But could they drop points? They certainly could. I thought Arne Slot was disappointing in his post-match press conference when he talked about the way Manchester United play football. I thought that was a deflection, a way to try and stop, the media maybe picking up on things. I thought United rode their luck at times, but I thought also Liverpool were not good either. Yeah, they had 15, 16 shots, 5 of those on target. Manchester United's first half performance, I thought, was very well organised. Harry Maguire's goal in the second half from the Bruno pass was exceptional. Exceptional. Harry Maguire has picked himself up off the canvas on numerous occasions in recent years, ridiculed by managers and fans alike. But he has scored important goals at important times. And he did it again. And there's a lot to be said about mentality of people and players. And we as fans criticise them at any given opportunity. And Harry Maguire has taken all of the knocks, the school of hard knocks. And he's continued to perform. When he's been on the bench, you don't hear him speaking out. It's rumoured right now he wants a new deal at Manchester United. He doesn't want the money from Saudi Arabia. And he's willing to drop his wages substantially in order to stay at the club. Tell me now, in a world where it's all about money, where you hear that from players. You don't. His goal was brilliant. He's shown still that he is a threat in the opposition box. And I thought defensively yesterday, he was the best centre-half on the park. Far better than Van Dijk, far better than Konate. Both of them were at fault for both of the goals. If we start with the first one on a minute or 61 seconds or whatever it was when Mbeumo scores, is it a free kick? It's not a free kick because Van Dijk causes the injury to Alexis McAllister, but the protocols from a refereeing side of things were wrong. The game should have been stopped. It's deemed a head injury. Regardless of how Alexis McAllister's head injury came about, the game should have been stopped. However, Premier League players know you play to the whistle. And United took that and got on with it. Van Dijk's sloppy, doesn't react. And Buemo's quick enough, skillful enough, good enough, gets it in the box, fires it low and hard, and United lead. And it silenced Anfield and it set the tone for the day. It's 10 years since Manchester United have won at Old Trafford. And you could see even at full time with Amorim, he wanted to burst at the seams because we all pelter him. And Radcliffe's come out in the break and said he's going to be given the full 3 years unless obviously it goes drastically wrong. And are United now and the players starting to slowly, and I say slowly and I stress that word, adjust to the way that Amorim wants his team to play? Is it pretty? No, it's not. It's not pretty in any way, shape or form. But there are signs that the current team are starting to understand what they're meant to do. And that, for me, is important. I called Man United to finish 5th. Why? Because they're not going to feature in the Cups. They'll get knocked out of the FA Cup early. They might say they're disappointed. If they can go and sign a central midfielder or two in the window, and they've only got the Premier League, and they can build off this momentum, then they can push themselves up the league. Are they going to do it? Who knows? But they can do it. The bigger tests will come for United against the teams like Fulham. They seem to get themselves up for the big games. They're a bit like Brighton. But there are some positive signs there as well. There are some positive signs there. Kevin says, rest in peace, Jota, absolutely. But, Jota probably doesn't get mentioned enough in terms of the trauma for Liverpool players. And it's definitely a part of where they're at. And they should be allowed to continue to grieve if that's what they need to do so. But I also think as athletes and professionals, they're able to decompartmentalize that. So for 90 minutes or 180 minutes, footballers are selfish. They won't think about Diego Jota when the game's going on. Maybe when the fans sing, but not when the game's going on. Overall, they won't. Daniel says, I still think Maguire's not good enough to win league titles. I'm not saying Harry Maguire's going to win league titles for Manchester United. Manchester United are light years away from winning titles. But the performance that Maguire, De Ligt as well, put in on Sunday, when they're so criticised so often, I think was a really, really strong performance. They rode their luck. Cody Gakpo, the move where he hits the post in the first half. Isak misses the one-on-one. Semi Lamens looks like he's been playing in goal for Man United for a number of seasons. A really astute piece of business that looks to be for United at the moment. Very, very confident between the sticks. Obviously, Mo Salah wastes golden opportunities. And I stress, Mo Salah is finished. He's finished. It happens to everyone at the very top. Managers and players alike. All of a sudden, there's a chink in the armour. And you're seeing it at the wrong time. Is he still world-class? Absolutely. Is he still one of the greatest, like Van Dijk, Premier League players ever? Absolutely. However, he is not the same Mo Salah. And I'd look at Chiesa down the right. And the proof's in the pudding. Frimpong comes on at 84 minutes when Maguire scores and creates a golden opportunity that Gakpo should have scored. And it could have been a different game. And when they equalised, it possibly should have been a different game. But take nothing away from Ruben Amorim. Take nothing away from Manchester United. To go to Anfield and win after not winning there for 10 years, after being under immense pressure, not playing the greatest football, then Manchester United, for me, ultimately deserve all 3 points at the weekend. I think it was a very, very good performance from Amorim's men. Guys, I have been talking for nearly 2 hours on top of you guys obviously coming in on the phone line. It's West Ham Brentford to go. That one I'm still going to go with as a 1-1 draw tonight. I think it'll be a fairly drab affair. Thank you very much to everyone that's been involved both in the chat and on air today. I appreciate the comments of support as well. If you haven't done so already, make sure you drop a like on this video. I can't express enough to you how it helps. And let me give you a little bit of the inner workings to what's going on at the Footy Social Club at the moment. We as a channel have an algorithm issue. And the algorithm issue is that YouTube has decided that the Footy Social Club is a prediction channel. And at the moment, we are trying to reset that algorithm. And the way to do that is to link and talk and a few other things. I'm working with their AI to go through it at the moment. But I can't stress enough, you can hype videos, like, comment, subscribing through the video. All of these things are simple things that you guys can do, and they help massively. Thank you very much. Go and watch some of the other content that's come out over the weekend, reactions to some of the games as well. I'll be back tomorrow talking Champions League. There's a prediction podcast coming out for that as well. And I'm pretty sure that since we've been on air for nearly 2 hours, Sean Dyche is all but manager of Nottingham Forest. Verbally agreed now to become manager. There'll be a video coming out for that one as well very, very shortly. Enjoy the rest of your days, guys. Thanks very much for the continued support. And I, of course, will see you on the next one.